This is Channel 3 Eyewitness News at 6.
First at 6, the Commander-in-Chief in Connecticut. President Trump addresses graduates of the U.S. Coast Guard Academy.
Congratulations to the class of 2017.
Greeted by supporters and facing some demonstrators.
Tell me what democracy looks like!
This is what democracy looks like!
From a commencement speech to a campaign rally.
We've begun plans and preparations for the border wall, which is going along very, very well.
Complete coverage of the Coast Guard commencement starts right now.
But first, breaking news, the search for the next director of the FBI continues, and now a longtime Connecticut senator is in the running. Good evening, and thanks for joining us tonight. I'm Dennis House.
And I'm Denise DeCenzo. Former U.S. Senator Joe Lieberman is set to interview for the FBI director position tonight.
The White House is saying President Trump will be interviewing 4 potential candidates to lead the FBI. White House Press Secretary Sean Spicer says Trump will meet with former Oklahoma Governor Frank Keating, FBI Acting Director Andrew McCabe, and Richard McFeely, a former top FBI official.
Lieberman is also on the list. As we've mentioned, he does have law enforcement experience. He was our state's Attorney General from 1983 to 89.
Joe Lieberman was known as a tough attorney general in the 1980s, who stunned the political world in 1988 when he beat incumbent Senator Laurel Weicker.
I'd like to believe that what people in this state were saying was that after 18 years they wanted a change.
12 years later, he stunned the world again when Vice President Al Gore picked him as his running mate.
And it will forever remain one of my deepest honors that thanks to Vice President Gore, I was given the opportunity to be the first Jewish American nominated by a major political party for national office.
4 years later, Lieberman ran for president, but dropped out after losing the New Hampshire primary. In 2006, he was in the fight of his political life as he sought a 4th term in the Senate. He lost the Democratic primary that summer to Ned Lamont, but Lieberman shocked again that fall, running as an independent and winning re-election. And by 2012, the writing was on the wall. He would have trouble winning re-election. Lieberman retired from politics.
My emotions are really mixed. I mean, it's a very sentimental time, naturally. I have no second thoughts about not running again. I mean, 24 years has been a wonderful experience. I wanted to leave at a time when I still, well, as I say, I could leave unescorted.
Always a great sense of humor, Senator Lieberman. We have not yet heard from the senator yet. You may recall he almost endorsed Donald Trump for president, but then went with Hillary Clinton. He was critical, though, of her during the email scandal and early on called on her to turn over her private email server.
Also today, President Trump gave sailing orders to the graduating class of the U.S. Coast Guard Academy this afternoon during commencement exercises. Our own Channel 3 New London Bureau Chief Kevin Hogan was there.
And he's live now in New London outside the Coast Guard Academy campus with all the details. Kevin.
Well, Dennis and Denise, security, as you can imagine, was tight all around the region today, and my sources telling me the month of planning and everything, it went off without a hitch. And tonight, those ensigns and their families, they're celebrating, and the ensigns are moving forward to serve.
So starting today, I hope you feel the full gratitude of our nation.
President Trump attended his first military commencement exercise, helping to hand out commissions to 195 new ensigns, 14 from Connecticut.
Casey Thomas Dieter leads civil engineering.
Felt really good. It was a hard 4 years, and it was awesome that it came to such a good end.
He was very, very focused on the young people, which I was very pleased to hear.
Under bright blue skies and sweltering heat, family and friends waited hours under tight security to enjoy the day and this huge accomplishment.
It was awesome to have Donald Trump here, Commander-in-Chief, to shake our hands and give us our commissions.
What did he say to you, sir?
He just said, congratulations, you're going to do great out there, so best of luck.
Their Commander-in-Chief also touted his first accomplishment: jobs, a new Supreme Court justice, increased spending for the military, especially the Coast Guard. But Mr. Trump also pointed out how the media has treated him lately, telling cadets to never give up.
You can't let the critics and the naysayers get in the way of your dreams.
Before divesting themselves of their former cadet life, Mr. Trump praised the military path these young men and women chose instead of a traditional college.
And instead, you chose the path of service. You chose hard work, high standards, and a very noble mission.
Now tonight, those leaders, those new ensigns, are celebrating with their families and friends, and the president is already back in Washington. Live in the mobile newsroom outside the U.S. Coast Guard Academy in New London, Kevin Hogan, Channel 3, Eyewitness News.
Tell me what democracy looks like.
This is what democracy looks like.
Thousands of protesters and supporters were able to gather at McKinley Park outside the Academy to have their voices heard. The president is facing accusations of obstruction of justice with an FBI investigation and leaking classified intelligence to the Russians.
I think he should be impeached. He does not seem to have the capability to filter what's classified and what's not.
I believe if we let this ride out over 4 years, there's going to be some significant change for the better good of America.
Trump stayed away from politics in his speech, commending the cadets and touting the accomplishments that his administration has made.
We have extended coverage of the president's visit on our website, wfsb.com. You'll find the president's full speech, video from the graduation ceremony, and a slideshow of pictures. We have some breaking news coming into our newsroom right now. We have just learned moments ago the Justice Department has appointed former FBI Director Robert Mueller as special counsel to investigate Russia's interference in the presidential election, and the Trump administration will have complete developments tonight on the CBS Evening News with Scott Pelley immediately following this broadcast.
All right, record heat came a day early, at least a day earlier than expected, to Connecticut when the temperatures soared to 94 degrees at Windsor Locks this afternoon. It beat the old record of 93 set on this date in 1974 and in 1977. Right now it's beautiful outside, bright sunny skies. We've got a nice breeze blowing. The air is starting to cool down a little bit. These are high temperatures. Look at that. Newington 93, Waterbury 89, Milford 86, and New London never made it out of the 70s. Right now, temperatures are in the 70s and 80s, so a little bit of a sea breeze is knocking that temperature down. A pretty strong south-southwesterly breeze as high as 17 miles an hour in Groton, 18 miles an hour in Bridgeport. And the humidity is going to be rising higher tonight and tomorrow. And we do have an air quality alert in effect for much of the state until 10 o'clock tonight. And that air quality alert will be in effect for much of the state during the day tomorrow. So tonight, it's going to be mild and muggy. The air will become more humid as the night goes on, and we'll have areas of fog developing, especially near the coast. Lows between 60 and 68 degrees, so a fan and air conditioner will come in very handy, not only tonight, but tomorrow as well, when we're forecasting even hotter and more humid weather. We'll talk more about that. The record-breaking highs coming up in 10 minutes.
Bruce, thank you. Right now on Eyewitness News, the budgets are out, and now it's time for an agreement on how to get Connecticut out of a big financial mess. A number of proposals are on the table: casinos, tolls, and legalized marijuana, as well as cuts to cities and towns. Late this afternoon, Governor Malloy started negotiating with legislative leaders. Channel 3 Eyewitness News reporter Susan Raff is live at the state capitol now with all the details for us. Susan?
Dennis, negotiations have begun. The governor met behind closed doors with legislative leaders for about an hour. And when they came out, the leaders seemed somewhat optimistic, but keep in mind they still have a long way to go. This is probably one of the worst deficits ever, and even the governor called the disagreements substantial.
I think it was a good session. We talked about some of the areas to where we believe overall we have to address, and it was a great meeting.
The House Speaker was upbeat after meeting with the governor and Republican leaders. This was the first of what is expected to be several meetings on budget talks. There are many proposals, all taking a stab at a deficit growing into the billions. The governor was a bit cautious.
I think it was a useful meeting to have the leadership of the legislature and myself sit down and talk about what are big issues. I can assure you we did not resolve any big solutions.
The Democrats want to raise money with marijuana, casinos, and tolls. Republicans want to reduce spending and bonding. The governor's budget calls for big changes for cities and towns. He wants them to share in the cost of teachers' pensions.
That burden for the town of Stonington is huge, almost $2 million right on top of us out of nowhere.
Former Republican Congressman Rob Simmons is now Stonington's first selectman. He says in addition to huge cuts, there's still no state budget and a lot of uncertainty.
How do the small towns, the suburban and rural towns who are fiscally conservative and struggled along all these years, how do they recover when they get these huge hits dumped on them by the state? And the answer is not easily.
The legislative session ends in 3 weeks from now, but many here at the state capitol are very skeptical that it will end then, and they suspect that we could very well go into a special session. Now, on Monday, the governor says that he is going to reveal to lawmakers who met with him today his response to some of their proposals. We're live in Hartford. Susan Raff, Channel 3 Eyewitness News.
Susan, thank you. Still ahead, saying farewell to Fairfield. A General Electric executive speaks out about the real reason the company left the state.
I was trying to go out of state. I think we all were trying to go out of state.
Quadruplets headed to Quinnipiac. Siblings applied to dozens of colleges but are ending up together. That story when Eyewitness News continues.